With me now is Porinju Veliyath. He's joining me. I mean, last you heard from Porinju talking to me was on the 23rd of February. The Nifty was at about 7,100. We're at close to 7,700 now. So for those of you who have been following Porinju, it's been a nice ride. Porinju, thanks very much for coming back on. You know, when the market goes up, the typical question is this it? Is it time to start to take money off the table? I know it's a typical question, but that's what I'm going to start with. Why don't you just, for our viewers, explain your way of looking at this rally? It's been a huge move, right? 600, 700 points in a very short time span. How do you see it? And it's true for most global markets as well. All markets are up 10, 15% from their February lows. Just put it into perspective and then we can talk specifics. Go on.
Prashant, when you asked, to take money off the market, I hope it's not the capital you're talking about. Those people who made the profit, maybe that's what you mean. Prashant, one important thing, in my opinion, market is yet to touch the bottom. Because for me, the bottom is 8,000, if you're talking about Nifty. So we are still trading below the irrational bottom. What we have seen in the last couple of months, 3 months, it was a kind of irrational activities, just panic, driven by even media and many others. It has become a habit and fashion among investors and traders, analyzing everything happening around the world, what's happening in China, Japan, Europe, or America. And they tend to forget the big picture on Indian markets, and they talk about all these things. So otherwise, Indian market is at around the bottom even today. So booking profit or selling equities, I believe it's not a sensible thing.
Is it just bravado, Porinju? Are you saying it in jest or are you serious that bottom for the Nifty is 8,000? We haven't yet reached the bottom. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, we are still.
You're being serious.
Below
right?
the.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, you are right. We are still below the rational bottom I see for the markets in India. And if I don't know, you have seen when the Nifty was around 7,000, I had mentioned the bottom for Nifty is 7,500, and anything below that is don't take it serious. That's what I strongly believe. Indian market is in a structural uptrend. It's a structural bull market, not for a few months or next 2 years. It's for a very long term. Here I am presuming that we will have good government, good governance, and the government in position will manage the economy properly with a long-term perspective and a vision. And India has so much of advantages, and we are so resourceful. We can really grow, not at 6 and 7%. We can easily grow at 8 and 10%. If a little better managed, we can even grow at 12% for a few years, not for a very long time, because of the low base our economy is going through now. So in that context, only people with short-sightedness will talk about a bear market for India.
Yeah, no, fair enough. That's fine, and that's one way to do it, right? Just focus on the very long term and just be bullish. But the fact is, when there's money involved, if you remember, I spoke to you when the Nifty was at about, not the last time, but not the 23rd of Feb, but before that, when the market was selling off, we were at about 6,800 or so. And I think I spoke to you and I asked you, for those who were, playing the F&O game, are leveraged, should they sell or should they expect a quick bounce? Back then you said don't expect a quick bounce. So it's rational to actually take the pain. Get out, sit light and sleep easy. That's the way to do it. But of course, we're not talking about those leveraged F&O guys. There are all kinds of players make the market. We're talking about people who have the patience to sit it out, right? Ride out the volatility. That's the viewer that we are addressing right now.
Prashant, there is a mistake. I talked, there is no quick bounce. One should not expect quick bounce. This was particularly about, the small cap companies and mid caps where every stocks went up, without beyond their fundamentals earlier.
Of course.
Yeah, not about the market.
Of course.
Market, I was really surprised. I was really surprised when markets went below 7,500. Even the 7,500 was a panic bottom for me. That's what I saw the time. But it was very unfortunate that the market was just sold off panic in a big way. And even small investors, a lot of newcomers in the market, they got scared. Some of them may not come back at all in the future. So that's very unhealthy for the markets. I think the media should take some initiative, the business media, instead of adding fuel to the fire, to the irrational fire, I would say, should have some healthy style of discussions. Don't call all the bears during market is selling off in an irrational manner. You should call some bulls like me, not you, I mean, generally, the media, so that you'll get a right perspective. This time I'm telling you, the business media in the country has added fuel to the fire.
I think Porinju, only in a slightly lighter note, I think you attach too much importance to business media, Anyway, that's besides the point. Let's, last time you were on the show, you said we spoke specifically. Our discussion was centered around large opportunities and many large caps, right? I want to just get a sense. When you say 8,000 is the bottom for the Nifty, according to you, rational bottom for the Nifty, are you taking into account valuations, etc., everything? Or
Yes, of course.
That is kind of for you in the background? Because I'll tell you what, even at 7,500 Nifty, the Nifty 1 year forward is trading at about 18, 19 times earnings. The long-term average is about 15, 16 times.
Yeah.
So it's not as if it's cheap at 7,500. We're at about 7,700 now. So what's your way of looking at it? Because one way to do it is to look at valuations and then take a call. Go on.
That is again a short-sighted view. When you talk about 1 year forward, and this 1 year forward can go very badly wrong if things take shape reasonably in this country, Prashant. That's the most important thing. And 17, 18, when you have got a big growth ahead next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, 17 is not a very high price earning multiples for a 1 year forward. And this 17 PE is on a bad working in a not so favorable environment for the industries. So that way, I have always talked, if you remember, when things are bad for a company, and this is applicable to the Nifty and the whole market also, when things are bad, environment is bad, the price earning multiple should be the highest for the current earnings, for the prevailing earnings. So that way it can go. We have seen 20 and 25 price earning multiples for our markets, and then there was a correction, and they have crossed those highs in a significant manner earlier. So it is, these valuations are, of course, valuation is there fundamentally. Now you see, I talked about the time to look at large cap companies when it was around 7,000. See, the same thing has happened. Only because of the large cap companies moved, Nifty came to 7,700. So it's already proven, and there's a long way to go. I'm talking, maybe next year if Nifty is at around 10,000. There, Prashant, you may say, 1 year forward is only 15 PE, so market can go up. So this situation can happen next year.
Yeah, but unfortunately, last 5 years at least, it's actually surprised on the opposite side. I mean, if the trend of the last 5 years continues at 10,000 Nifty, we would be at about 25 times earnings, not 15 times. Because earnings, unfortunately, have disappointed hugely for the last 5 years now. Every year we begin with 18, 19%. By the end of the year, it's single digits, right? Let's hope it improves. Let's hope it gets better. I take your point, though. Just one more point. I know you don't particularly like talking about the globe and things like that. You're saying just focus, big focus should be India and the opportunity here. That's fine. But just for one question more, when you say the rational bottom is 8,000, are you saying that the entire thesis of a bull market going to look good for a couple of years, all that is back? And if you say that is back, why do you think so? Because the market did fall 1,000 points from 8,000 to 7,000 very quickly. So are you saying that was just an aberration? Because people are questioning that. Or was that an aberration or this is an aberration? This is just a big bounce off the lows which you get. And that's about it. Just explain that briefly and then we can go on to stocks.
Prashant, for me, I never lost my confidence on the markets. See, the markets went down. So for those who believed in that market, for them things are getting back. For me, it was very intact. I never lost it. Even the Nifty and the market conditions were very bad for last few months. So for me, that's why I told you the bottom is 8,000. It was a rational movement. Anything that going to 7,500, 7,000 and below, it was not a reasonable valuation for Indian markets. Shall I tell you one more thing? Yeah. If I tell you,
there is one point, Porinju, right? People who manage public money. You would agree with me there. I'm not talking about you specifically. People who manage public money have to sound bullish on air. I mean, otherwise, why would anybody give these people money? I'm saying these people. I'm not talking about you, right? But you also manage public money. So by nature, you have to sound bullish. That's the nature of the game. So you have to accommodate for that skepticism as well. That's why I'm pressing on that point. What has changed for you to say this so confidently? I've changed in fundamentals. Yes. Go on.
This is not applicable to me in any case. I'm not very keen on managing public fund. It happened, a lot of people requested me and we started this organization. And I'm very happy it's going well. It's a pure, narrowly focused portfolio management company investing in Indian listed equities. That's what we are doing for the last 13 years. But when I talk about markets, when I think about markets, that's not important. When you analyze or when you value the companies or the markets as such, we have to go beyond that. See, here again, I have to repeat, people are missing the big picture. Now, last few days, FIs were buying 500 crores, 1,000 crores, 1,500 crores yesterday. So now people get excited. The traders will start talking about bullish market kind of thing. See, this is too short-sighted way of looking at the markets. Shall I tell you one more thing? Indian market capitalization, it is like a small cap in the whole world. If $20-30 billion of FI money coming in next 6 months or 8 months or 1 year, the whole thing changes. There will be scarcity of stocks available, I mean quality stocks. I'm not talking about any Tom, Dick and Harry. See, when I talk stocks in India, I'm looking at companies. We have only 20% companies which are professionally managed. I'm not talking about the remaining 80% unprofessionally, unscrupulously managed companies. That's always a challenge for small investors. People get trapped. I also do trades once in a while for a short time. But otherwise, we have only 20% companies, which of course constitute most part of the market capitalization for the country. They are great companies. They have got a relevance. They have got a role to play in this economy. And our economy is going to grow significantly. And if you don't grow, we are heading for big trouble. So you just blend all these aspects. How can somebody talk bearish on India? It is very unfair. We can't be bearish. If India goes bearish as a market, stock market, I'm telling you, there is going to be chaos in this economy. Your money in the bank, your deposit in the bank, you won't get it back. Then what's the point? Where are you put your money? So it is imperative. India has to grow. India has to grow not at 6 and 7%. We have to grow at least for next 5 years, 8 and 10%. And our government, at least last 2 years, is doing a great job. See the way each ministry is functioning. The transportation ministry. I'm telling you, this is important.
I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. We must grow. We must grow, and especially in sectors, I've said it repeatedly, in ministries like roads, railways, power, especially these three, these ministries are doing a great job, right? Absolutely. I've interacted with some of the ministers themselves, and they're doing a great job, no doubt. But the point is, there is a big difference between need to grow and what will actually happen, right? And when you're putting your money to work, it's a real thing. It's not some imaginary thing we're talking about. So you have to be skeptical. I think doubts and skepticism is very healthy. Yeah, go on. Sorry, I interrupted you there. Go on.
So, now, Prashant, you are telling ministries are doing a wonderful job. I am seeing not as just wonderful. In the last 60 years, mein nahi hua India mein. Now what's happening in this country is amazing. Amazing thing for the development of this country to reduce poverty.
Disputing that, but that is not what we are talking about, Porinju. We are talking about putting money out, buying stocks, and expecting to make a profit over a period of time. They're different things.
Then you are talking about gambling.
No, I'm not talking about gambling. You're not buying you're not buying what a certain ministry is going to do in the next 5-6 years. You're buying a company with specific prospects. It may benefit from what a ministry is doing or what the government is doing, but it's not completely correlated.
Completely correlated. I want to correct you. Shan, it is completely correlated. And without this thing, without a bit of politics, investors cannot survive in this country, I'm telling you. Now, if government is doing a wonderful job...
Okay, go on. I think we broadly agree with the same thing. We can there's a bit of a lag also, so it, I think, makes the interaction a bit slow. Go on, sorry, please finish that point.
If the government is doing a wonderful job, why then a lot of media houses trying to obstruct that and pull down the government with small, silly incidents happening in this country?
Let's put out what you said were big bets, ideas as far as stocks are concerned. Large cap stocks are concerned. Idea, Aditya Birla Nuvo, Tata Global Beverages, Indian Hotels, L&T, Simplex Infra, IRB, Pratibha Industries. You know, I just want to focus on the large caps because that's what we focused on when Porinju came on the show the last time. That's the 23rd of February. Just review this list for our viewers, Porinju. And let's just stick to large caps for a bit. L&T, Idea. These are, I think, some of the names. Anything you want to add? Anything which might have changed? And then we can talk about mid caps.
Yeah, again, these are just not very calculated kind of portfolio what I am talking about. This has happened in the last 2 or 3 our interactions, mostly like a casual idea. But at the same time, I was at that point of time, they were looking good. Now ideas come down to near 100 rupees. I think it looks like a value buy at this point of time after the big sell-off. Because this company and its business model has got a relevance going forward. Again, Tata Global Beverages, that also went down to very near to zero. I mean, very near to 100 recently. And now it's coming up. I think, see the business model. See, many of these large mid-caps, there is selling pressure from some mutual funds because of redemption, some FIs because they are leaving India. So there are some large bulk sellers continuously selling in the counters. So people who are buying it for short-term investments, they lose patience and they sell off. So there is a vicious cycle. These stocks are being quoted at very low valuations. I'm very bullish on these stocks. Even Aditya Birla Nuvo, again another Birla company. I think it's an amazing company. I used to compare this company with Bajaj Finance. This company has got a potential to grow like Bajaj Finance. And this is a holding company for Idea. Just got a very strong balance sheet and great potential. They sold off the Madura governments and the investors got the shares of that new company. So it's like which other company? I think the infrastructure story that I have been talking about for some time. Stock picking in the sector is a challenge. There is no doubt about that. But the sector as such is seeing unprecedented kind of a growth, especially for the next many years' time. Now today we saw some JMC project. One company got an order, something like 900 crores worth of few orders. So the stock was up by some 6-7%. So this is going to be happening in most of the infrastructure companies who are capable of bidding and who are capable of executing projects. You will see week after week orders being flowed into these companies. So that can be a big momentum player going forward in the infrastructure. So look at the company. There are a lot of companies, the big ones, medium ones, and small ones. So investors should become comfortable with the balance sheet, their execution capabilities. I am very bullish on the sector.
Okay. I mean, the road, basically road contractors, right? EPC and BOT, hybrid annuity, all those kind of companies. I mean, that is one sector which directly feeds in from how many contracts the ministry awards. I just want to get a quick sense. Railways is another area where there is a lot of work happening, right? We've got a great minister. absolutely clean and is hands-on. Is L&T the only play there, or some power transmission company which may benefit as the network gets laid out, it gets expanded? Because there are many others, I mean, which are basically 1 month stories. Right before the railway budget, they see some action and then they fade away. Why don't we see sustained action, or will we see that over a period of time? I'm talking about, say, for example, companies which are into rolling stock. What's your view?
Some of those railway-related companies, there are only 3-4 of them which are directly related to the railway work, which I don't know much about them. They go up for every budget and come down later. So, but more importantly, look at some little wider. Even not only about railway, look at the waterways. The national waterways government is developing. This never happened in our country for the last 60 years, which was very, very important also for the higher growth in our economy. Now, 50,000 kilometers of national waterways, out of which 35,000 kilometers is 111 rivers being converted into national waterways. Some of them may not really come up. Some of them may have problems of environment and all. But a lot of those projects are going to happen. And they are not only just talked about a big project. Government has finalized the way to raise funds. So the first phase, they're going to raise 70,000 crores for this development of national waterways. So which companies are going to benefit? Those who are capable of making the marine structures, boat jetties, and dredging. There are many aspects of each of these sectors in infrastructure: railway, roads, ports, everywhere. This is amazing thing happening. Prashant, I am telling you, the media is downplaying this. Media should take it up. Why? The benefit is. No, I'm not telling not to give credit to the government.
No, absolutely. I think this is an ignored subject. It's an ignored subject. But developing this is very close to Mr. Gadkari's heart. I remember speaking to him once, and he was extremely passionate about it. But have you thought about it, gone a little deeper in terms of what developing the waterways in the country will mean from an investor perspective? What are the plays? Are there any plays? I think said dredging Corporation of India comes to mind. But are there any specific names that you've thought about which may benefit?
About ITD cementation and some of these other companies which are not already in the water, in the navigation, they also may join hands. A lot of companies which are not listed also will join. And more importantly, Prashant, I am seeing a lot of companies from Japan, Korea, China kind of places. They are so keen to come to this country and invest in the infrastructure projects. And some of them will have joint ventures with Indian companies for executing those huge orders. So there will be a big momentum, the complete segment, all the infrastructure related kind of activities in the country, not for 1 year, 2 years. This can go on for next 5 years and 10 years. That is where I am seeing big multi-bagger ideas. It is yet to be evolved. I'm telling you, stock picking is very challenging in the sector because when you like a company which is very good, it has got a problem with the balance sheet. When there is a company with balance sheet is fine, execution capability, management is great, then you find the stock is expensive. So there is a challenge to pick stocks individually, but it can be solved. If you spend time, go do number crunching, look at the current order book position, what can be the order book position going forward, looking at the prospects of the business. So that is the way one should look at. And whether the existing not so comfortable kind of a debt position, whether that can be managed with a higher order book position going forward, which is definitely going to happen. So some of the highly indebted companies are going to turn around in the sector.
Just rotate this supers, please. People on Twitter are demanding that you put out some ideas for the some new ideas out there as well, Porinju. I don't know if you have them, but if you do, why don't you share a few with us?
Here again, I have been very bullish the last 2-3 weeks. Even I have built up some personal trading position, to be very frank, I'm telling you. Even though that's not my job. I sometimes enjoy doing it, because my conviction was so high when it was around 7,000 and below. Sure. I was 100% confident this was irrational pricing and markets have to go up. So I have taken position in many of the infrastructure companies which I look like it. So, there are big companies now like the IRB Infra. It's a harmless stock to talk because I talked, the stock will never move. Look at that company. It's looking very interesting. I'm having a position. We have invested in portfolio management also. It's a very, maybe it's a company something like next to L&T in size and potential. So the balance sheet is fine. It's a very healthy balance sheet. If the kind of, the margins, I forgot to talk about when we talked about infrastructure. The key point is the margin. At what rate you are taking the bids. And that is where the big positive is happening in this country. The margin, some of the orders were in negative margin of 5%, 1% kind of margins people were executing on these companies. Now going forward, you will see a 10% will be a norm. There can be 15 and 20% kind of margins for efficient companies. So that, and we are talking about lakhs of crores worth in bids going to happen in the coming months and coming quarters. So imagine which the companies are going to do very well. I'm very confident.
Just out of curiosity, sorry to press the point, but just out of curiosity, which are those trading ideas as well, Porinju? Why don't you list out a few? With, of course, full disclosure that you're not asking people to follow you or buy those stocks. That's not advice, but which are those bets?
No, Prashant, I can't talk about it. I have talked some of these stocks earlier also, some platform on my own Twitter account. There are a lot of companies, but you have to compromise on certain negatives of these companies. Then only you can pick stocks from infrastructure. Otherwise, you can find a reason for not picking any of those companies. Yeah. You can say management is a problem, balance sheet is a problem. Some of those companies are under the bank. The credit restructuring. The loan restructuring is going on. So they cannot bid for some of the big projects. So avoid those kind of companies. They may have a big past of track record of execution, but they may not be in a position to take advantage of the future opportunities. I don't want to tell more names.
Porinju, it's a pleasure. Thank you very much. I'm being told that I have to wrap this up, out of time completely, but it's always good getting your perspective on things. And looking forward to 8,000 soon as the bottom. So speak to you soon again, Porinju. Always a pleasure. Thanks indeed.